Okay, so where were we? We have these wonderful little tabs up here that will cycle us through all of the provinces that we own and all of
I
the
am Prince
armies that we
and the
have.
Emperor.
So armies and provinces, as well as events that have happened. And we were just about to end turn, were
Bring me
we?
to my men.
We already ended a turn once. Oh, apparently not. Let's go. Oh, we totally did, because I remember getting that. As well as reading that. And that. Weird.
Summon the Elector Counts.
Okay, but in any case... I don't think we've got quite the stones to take those guys on just yet.
Ready.
But that's not too bad. We'll just march Carl and the boys over to there. Check to make sure that that does in fact keep us within Reikland.
Who calls? I'll ignore that. By Sigma, no! I command here.
These guys have got... Yeah, swordsmen seem to be pretty well the way to go. But we will pick up a few more spears in case some random horsemen show up.
Sigma forbids this.
Yeah, not a whole lot more going on.
My lord, a rival power desires a change in your mutual relations.
Sure, non-aggression. They're offering to pay me a little bit. That's acceptable. That just means that neither of us can really pick a fight with the other. And those guys are going to run away. Huh. So, some lore dump. The House of the Second Wilhelm. The Doppelganger. The spires of Altdorf could just be seen, oh my gosh, could just be seen rising through the smog that filled the air, drifting up from chimneys at houses and establishments all over the city. It was at peace now, but so recently it had been otherwise. Just a short span of years ago, the city had been in turmoil during the window tax riots, in the last years of his father's reign. More recently than that, it had been Karl himself who had been in grave danger. He shuddered a little at the memory. Having just returned from a diplomatic mission to Talabheim and re-entered the palace, Karl had seen the most disturbing sight. An unnatural fog had permeated the city, freezing its citizens in place. The forces of chaos had infiltrated the palace and captured him unawares. A Ratman Grey Seer named Gaxar had created an exact likeness of Karl to replace him on the throne and pursue his own nefarious ends. At that moment, a band of adventurers stormed into the palace, laying waste to the forces of chaos. One scarred and hard-bitten young man confronted the Grey Seer, calling upon the wrath of Sigmar. A massive statue of the first emperor was struck by a bolt of lightning out of a stormless sky, and crashed through the roof, smiting the Grey Seer. The spell was lifted, the doppelganger collapsed, and the citizens of Altdorf unfrozen. The Knights of the Order of the Fiery Heart charged into the palace, cutting down swarms of beastmen. Karl remembered thanking the adventurers before his knights led him to safety, clad only in his breeches, unarmored and unarmed as he had been. The adventurers had pursued the forces of the enemy into the bowels of Altdorf's sewers and catacombs. To what fate he did not know for certain, though it was rumored that the younger man had survived. Karl did not learn their names until later, but learn them he did. Wolfgang von Neuold, the wizard Litzenreich, and the younger man, Conrad. Huh. That is quite the tale. Okay, now I believe we should be able to take on this
Prince
fight.
and Emperor.
So I will give us a save. Resume. Select our guy. And choose to teleport to the battle. It costs a nominal amount of money, but it makes it so that you don't have to actually trek your army to that location, which is very nice. And then once the battle is done, it plops you right back where you were. Oh, and it's saying that we're not going to do so well on this according to the balance of power. Well, we'll just have to see about that now, won't we? So they've got their own leader, a couple of infantry units, one set of crossbows, and a bunch of artillery. But we are ambushing them, which gives us a great setup position.
Come, men. It seems Todbringer sends his midden wolves across the Reich to test our mettle. He seems to think that since my father's death, Reikland is weak, and we cower under our beds waiting for these Ulrich worshippers to save us from our woes. I say we Reiklanders are more than capable of defending ourselves. I say we show Todbringer's mongrels that Reiklander blood flows through our veins. We face the trespassers deep in the blood pines. Keep your wits, lads, for there is more than Ulrich's dogs in there. My father had to send the Reichsguard in to purge these woods of forest goblin filth more than once during his reign. Yet that is not what we face today. No! Today we send the Elector Count of Middenland a message that it is the House of Franz that protects the borders of Reikland!
Hmm. But yes, we are ambushing, which means that we will be hidden until we choose to attack, I think is precisely how it works. And we get to start our forces, like, right up on these guys' asses. Always nice. So they've got all those wonderful artillery pieces and whatnot. It's just so bad that it's going to get ridden down by our cavalry immediately. We'll form up all of our swordsmen to rush their guys. Line up Carl to duel their leader. We'll pop our spearmen up here. Directly behind them can be our archers. And we can have our gunners up there as well. So hopefully we will be able to just blast into them with impunity. Actually, yeah, those guys can go up there because they can bog them down before they get into our crossbowmen just as well as the spearmen can. And hopefully everybody will be too tied up fighting our swordsmen down there. And we can back everybody off a little bit to make that more likely.
We are Sigmar's heirs. Standing by.
Okay, I think that's about all we can do. Oh, it's always good to put any shooting units you have into guard mode, which means even if they're tied up in melee, the ones who aren't currently getting their faces caved in will attempt to keep shooting. And then we've also got some halberds who have got decent armor piercing, so I'm going to bring them up front here to hopefully help fight the heavily armored general. So let's go! So see how we are hidden. We're going to immediately break stealth because our archers are going to want to start shooting. Which is okay. Everybody attack. Okay, let her rip. Okay, what's going on in here? Mortars. Are my cavalry getting messed up by spearmen at all? No, they are not. Good. Okay. Pop that to get our guys really kicking ass. You guys can tie them up. I don't think anyone's going to be getting down there, so you guys can help out. You guys can move forward a little bit.
Asgard Knights! Now! Spearman! Ready to fire! Sigma! Shaman! Quickly! We are Sigma's heir! Prepare for combat!
Yeah, now we got more bad guys coming in.
My subjects call!
So, all the artillery seems to be pretty well dead. We're going to want our cavalry running down their infantry. We're going to want our spearmen to reform up in front of our crossbows. And actually, yeah, let's put our guns here. Spearmen here. Crossbows like that. Guns can kind of dip back behind that rock there if things get too dicey. We'll let everyone keep killing a little bit. So yeah, I want to keep Carl on this guy because that guy could easily come back and do a lot of damage to us. Free Company's been chasing those guys off. I want to pull them back to where our archers and whatnot will be able to keep these pistoliers from doing too much to them. These little bastards are guys on horseback wielding a pair of pistols. So they are crazy fast, they can shoot while they're moving, they can somehow reload a pair of muzzle-loading pistols while they're holding a pair of muzzle-loading pistols on the back of a running horse, no less. But they've got about the same range as our guys on foot, and they're obviously way faster. So I don't want to be trading blows with them. I want to get our bigger, heavier, longer range guns, trying to screen those guys out. We're going to get some swordsmen to stay in the back here in case anyone comes back. Those guys can keep chasing them because they're right on their ass. Carl can keep beating on that guy. But then the rest of those swordsmen and the halberds can start making their way over here. And the Reichsguard can continue running down the infantry. Oh, good. All of those guys completely shattered. Well, screw that then. Did he shatter too? All of you guys just aggressively start moving your way up there. You guys start shooting them. Same with you. Hell, you guys can start shooting them too. Keep them in place a little bit. Good. Yeah, since the cavalry has a lower model count, they're just not going to trade effectively at all with an infantry unit. Carl can get his ass back to the center. And, oh, they do have another sword in, or another on-foot general that Carl's going to need to go beat up on. Or wow, is he on foot even? Yes, he is. Okay, let's get our ranged pieces focusing on things they will do well against. We're going to turn skirmish mode on these guys and send them after those spearmen. Skirmish mode, they will automatically run away when people get close to them. Can't really send our Reiksguard after those running horses because they're going to be so much faster than our knights. But we can try to flank around all of these guys a little bit. Yes, you are very slow, Carl. Yeah, and then the free company runs away. They should be a little bit quicker than those guys. These guys can reposition. And our swordsmen can start moving up into places that make a little bit more sense. Need to get this guy a horse. So damn slow. Actually, if you guys could hold them in place, that would be wonderful. So charge into them. The free company is not going to be doing so hot. But those guys are about to get charged in the ass. Potentially shot if my handgunners ever feel like no longer just moving forward, but actually firing their weapons. Fine, shoot at those guys instead. I got horses all over them. You can pop that. And we'll get the crossbows. Screening those guys out. Hopefully another set of shots will rout those guys out before they get to my horses. Oh, that was close. Now we can bounce our horses into them to ride them off. Maybe get those guys shooting at them. Carl beat the fuck out of him. And that does it. Booyah. Probably could have done it without the reinforcements that we built. I don't think it was that close. Yeah, look at how healthy everybody still is. 235 on the Reiksguard, jeez. Oh, they would have got a lot of value from killing the expensive artillery pieces. Not a hell of a lot of value on Carl, considering he beat that crap out of two generals. But then I think they both eroded off when they still had a fair amount of health left. So yeah, you don't get any points or money value if you scare them off as opposed to actually dealing damage. So that's something that can mess up the totals when you're evaluating after a fight. If you got a big scary unit that excels at frightening things or breaking morale, making them run off, or even just like keeping people out of an area, that's not accounted for. 97 kills on the free company, not bad at all for them. don't want a whole lot of those guys because one, they're expensive, and two, they the ability to shoot just won't be enough to let them actually hold line. So these more expensive guys will get beaten by even just spearmen or swordsmen, provided the swordsmen just run up to them and don't give them time to shoot or the room to run around and kite them. So yeah, that went very well indeed. Only lost about 100 guys. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I would. Yeah, here we go. Quest battle complete. We got some money. Ranked up enough to give Carl a horse. And yeah, we're going to another fight right after this, so I'll take on the captives.
Sigmar compels us onward.
So, yep, we beat those guys. Very good. So that gives us an item which we can equip to somebody. Some more prestige, which I'm still not yet sure how to use. And a battle wizard recruited, which is another individual hero type character. This isn't anyone in particular, it's just a random wizard, like he has no actual character or backstory. And he would appear to be a celestial wizard, because there's multiple different types that each have different spells and things they can do. So the Celestial Order. The Comet of Power is the symbol of the Celestial Order, which is made up of wizards who study the lore of the heavens that comes from the wind of the Azir. Celestial wizards, also known as astromancers, spend most of their time gazing into the night skies, plotting the movements of astral bodies. They are experts in divining the future, and the most powerful of the order can even scry portents by peering into crystal balls. Celestial wizards are equally feared and respected for the awesome powers that lie at their disposal. Their spells are able to call lightning from the skies and summon meteorites to smite their enemies. Oh yeah, we're doing that. The 16 towers of the Celestial College are the tallest buildings in Altdorf. A shimmering dome of enchanted glass encloses the peak of each spire. The information gathered from these towers is fed into a vast, magical astrolabe at the heart of the college that spins on the head of a mystical silver needle. From this, the masters of the Celestial College read the myriad signs and portents in their bid to understand the Empire's potential futures. And we got that sword. Neat. So, what does this guy do? He is fleet-footed, which means he is faster on his feet, which is nice. Because, well, in melee combat, this guy could be taken out by a well-thrown cheese sandwich. He's slightly more incompetent than, like, a spearman, which is pretty bad. Doesn't have a hell of a lot of health. He's got less armor. Jeez, he's got less leadership too, so he'll run fast too. And for a hero character, 300 weapon strength is about as low as it comes. This guy shouldn't ever be fighting anyone hand to hand, unless it's like just specifically to get him to do something instead of just absolutely standing around. Or if you want to like attack a unit in the back to give him a leadership debuff and maybe try to rout him off. But we can give him that camp follower that we picked up a while back. that'll make him recover from wounds quicker for when he does get taken out by a cheese sandwich. And we might as well give him the sword that we just picked up, as it'll buff up his melee attack a little bit, make it more likely for him to hit people. Give him some more charge bonus so he's better when he does run in as well. Not a lot better, but nobody else is using that thing at the moment. And he's got all sorts of abilities and whatnot that we'll look into once we level him up a little bit. Okay. And we are just about able to get to Ubersreich, I think. So yeah, we will try to get him trained up a little bit by doing a hero action. So these guys can be used both on the zoomed-in battle maps and on this campaign map. What he can do is attempt to steal tech, which isn't so much stealing tech as it boosts your own research rate. So he's got a 50-50 chance of successfully pulling this off because he's super low level, and he's got an 8% chance of getting his ass wounded in the process of trying. So let's hope we don't get crazy unlucky, and even if we do, he's got that follower equipped to him that should help him out. Actually, no. I think the safer bet...
I command here.
Yeah, we're going to be able to lay siege to that, so I think what we're going to do instead is give Carl a fucking horse and make it a bit more likely for him to land his super heavy armor-piercing attacks in melee. So give him the Deadly Blade. Yeah, Carl's usually accustomed to riding around on his Griffin buddy, but we don't have that unlocked yet, so it says it's unusual to see him on horseback. Well, so far we've only seen him running around on foot like a jackass.
Raise your weapons. To war.
So we're going to take this place. It's going to be a super easy fight, but what we're going to do instead is encircle it for the moment, just lay siege to it, so that this guy up here can wander all the way down, embed himself in this army,
Ulrich's will.
There we go. See, he is there. He'll show up in the fight now.
Fight for our nation. Men, we must attack.
Now we go to fight it with our new wizard. So it'll take a bit to load in. So this guy is a Heavens caster. Which means eventually he'll be able to drop lightning and meteorites and stuff. So if you see a particular unit that you want to go away, you can drop something nasty on them with this guy. But at super lower levels, I think he's just got some buffs, which are good. Like, they can make some of your other units about twice as effective or so. So if you see they're losing a fight, slap something on them and they'll do absolutely great, as opposed to just getting their ass kicked. Okay, but this will be a fairly easy one to set up. Keep all of our swordsmen in front, since they've got nothing but infantry. We're actually going to want to back off a fair bit. Open up this killing field for our gunners.
The Empire endures.
Our crossbows.
Free company.
Our free company.
I will not stand idle.
Forans can sit off to the side,
Reichsguard knights.
as can our Reichsguard.
We are Sigmar's heirs.
Our mage can sit kind of protected up here.
We are Sigmar's heirs.
And some spears off to the side in case they need anything. And our halberds. There's nothing they're particularly good against in this army. They can just sit out in the back, out of the way.
Sigmar guides us.
Okay.
Astromancy.
And it's not going to tell us what spells he has until we start deployment. So you have a globe here that fills up. That's the amount of magical power you can use. It's got a reserve along this bar here that will like flow into it, just like the old Diablo, filling up your health and your mana globes. If you don't like what this starts out as, you can like sacrifice some reserve to try to pump this up by gambling. Something to do with a coin flip. I've never really figured that out. Every time I've tried it, it has not turned out well, so I tend to just ignore it. Uh, I tend to start far enough back from the enemy that it'll just fill up a decent amount by the time I go to actually engage anyway. So we'll just start our deployment, start battle, let those guys run at us, and take a look at what this guy would be able to do. So every 30 seconds, he can spend 6 blue points to give one of our units a buff of 24 melee attack and 24 melee defense. So if we look at these guys, like our swordsmen, about the best guys that we have, only have 32 and 32. So that's about doubling their effectiveness, which is a lot. Alternately, we could also just plop it on Carl and up his attack to like 100 or more, and his defense up to 74 or something, and make him damn near unbeatable in a duel. And I think that's got a range on it, which is pretty far, but he's not quite able to reach the cavalry way out there, which is why I put the mage relatively far forward, even though we really don't want him fighting anything. So it looks like they're going to try to derp after my Reiksguard a little bit. So we'll pull them back. Try to convince them to walk into the killing field of our guns. And they're going after Carl. So even though Carl is a certified badass, I don't really want him derping into spearmen while he's on horseback, because they do have that bonus versus large, and it is enough to make them pretty decent at poking him down. Yeah, let's take a look at our buddy. Yeah, it's a fine looking horse he got. Yeah, it's got ears, it's got legs. Wonderful. What about you? Oh yes, very, very Doctor Strange. Oh, look at the ball at the end of your stick. Yeah, neat. Yeah, pull the Reiksguard back. They're on horseback. Those guys on foot aren't going to be catching them. And come to those guys. If you guys could shoot at the spearmen instead, that would be lovely. Because the spearmen don't have shields. My handgunners are running forward again, like jackasses. Running forward again! Wonderful. You guys were the top of your friggin' class, weren't you? You guys feel like shooting instead of just derping around? Apparently not. Okay, just go sit over there. Yeah, soften those guys up a bit. Yeah, let's see if we can bait those swordsmen into running at our spearmen's back and then hit them from behind with the Reiksguard. Or are they going fully into the trees? Okay, are you guys gonna shoot now? That is about an even fight, which I don't like. So we're gonna buff those guys. And we're gonna send over some swordsmen to help.
the ground! Swordsman, Sigmar calls! By Ulrich's wrath! Charge! Crossbowmen! Soldiers of the Empire! Spearmen! Reikland!
Good, those guys are fine with shooting. You guys can get yourselves around.
Sigmar calls!
Charge them in the back. And buff up everybody's attack.
Ready for war! Now!
Not about did that. This is a garrison, we don't need to run them down. Yeah, easy peasy. Far too effective when you have ranged weaponry and the enemy don't. Also helps when you outnumber them like 3 to 1. And just like that. Yeah, it would seem that when I'm doing these recordings, the loading screens do seem to take a little bit longer, so I'll have to figure out what to do to fill the time in here. Yeah, so the siege weapon stuff, that's for the capitals of each province. Those tend to be the only cities with walls where you actually need siege weapons. These smaller ones play out just like regular field battles, with no fortifications or anything. There we go. Well, that just can't be right. No, there's no way these numbers are anything close to right. Well, so much for thinking that was useful. Half these people didn't even fight anyone. He sure as hell didn't. 26 kills, dealt no damage? Sure. And we'll just occupy.
Ulrich's will!
Okay, and we'll figure out what we're going to do with this new
Summon the
place
Elector Counts!
next time.